The parking sensor buzzed at 1:42 a.m. His car stopped at a stranger's driveway. I'm not jealous of bodies, I'm jealous of patterns. Bodies tell the truth if you stop dressing them up with excuses. Patterns decide which truth gets delivery. At 1:42 a.m., my pocket lit with the neat little accusation of a parking app, trip complete vehicle, Soren sedan parking location, 42 Rowan Street. The thumbnail showed a street lamp I recognized and a shallow rectangle of driveway that was not ours. Soren had texted at 10:47, they want one more round. Don't wait up. He kisses the air where my cheek would be and calls it an administrative truce. At 7:05 I had filmed the coffee because small circles keep promises. I captioned it here. He reacted with the thumbs up he uses when he's already late for an hour that intends to rename itself. I put the phone face down on the counter the way you put a witness out of reach. The apartment settled into the quiet of people who have practiced lying to their own mirrors. The radiator hummed like a choir that forgot the words. I boiled water because water never pretended to judge. By 3, the lock cleared its throat, and Soren stepped in with his coat flung over his shoulder, shoes hooked by 2 fingers because he thinks of shoes as witnesses too tired to lie. He smelled like citrus, and a decision that had been made under forgiving lights. "You're awake," he said, and his voice measured the room in old currency. "The street number says your sedan is being polite in another man's driveway," I said. I kept my thumb on the lip of the mug and watched the steam learn to behave. He put his palms flat on the table the way our therapist taught him, and offering more than a confession. "Which one do you want?" he asked. "Why or who?" "Why," I said, because Matt, my emergency adult, taps me under metaphorical tables when I begin with names. If I start with who, the night gets to headline our minutes. Soren's pupils dilated like clocks. "Because the part wasn't coming," he said, eyes on the paint that wants to retire without ceremony. "Because donors clap in the wrong places and think gin is a form of penance. Because Felix, he was in from town, said the curb at Rowan felt private. Because it was easier to be small there than to be loud at Lark's. Because I wanted to prove I could be both generous and tidy. Because I let the map do my thinking." "Did you kiss him?" I asked. "Because there are rituals you keep even when they hurt only you." "In the car," Soren said. "Once, short and clumsy and entirely unnecessary. I stopped because the backseat felt like a cupboard and cupboards should be for plates." He looked at me like a man giving me the shape of an apology. "I didn't go upstairs. I promised myself I wouldn't go upstairs." "I hate how reasonable that sounds," I said. "It's the sentence I use when mercy arrives ahead of my furniture." We could have slept. Instead, we did something more ridiculous and useful. At noon, we walked to Rowan Street together. Midday, when city lights unclench and the mirror things of night forget to pretend. The driveway was empty except for the indentation in the gravel where Soren's tires had left a shy apology. No one's porch light offered a sermon. The house looked like a sober neighbor who had stayed too long at a party. Felix arrived at 2, standing in the dappled shade like a man who has learned the economy of eye contact. He carried 2 coffees as if tradition still insisted on courtesies. He didn't pretend surprise. He has the face of someone who has learned how his small unwisdom repeats. "I was coming to apologize," he said. "To the street, to the house, to whatever part of your life counts wrong addresses as drama." "You don't get to apologize to my asphalt," I said. "It's a petty thing to ask of a man who has meant some things to other people. Rehearsal is a room, a kiss is a scene, a driveway is a ledger. You don't get to be the verb in our kitchen." Felix nodded like a man who has taught younger versions of himself how to keep the quieter sins. "He loves you," he said to me, and it landed like currency. I like being near that, I'm sorry my voice borrows the grammar of wanting. Soren didn't look at Felix. He looked at me and the distance between us tightened into a hinge. I want windows, he said. Open windows, not doors. At home, I moved the chair to the middle of the kitchen because rituals are ridiculous, but they work. The chair is a prop that insists the scene has changed. Soren smiled like a man relieved to be caught kindly and came around the table. He paused, always that pause, his most decent habit, and then we let the first kiss be apology without a speech. The second was steadier, fingers finding the base of my skull the way hands find a signature. And the room, my room, learned how to be a place that could be lived in again. No matter what we thought we had hung on the kitchen pinboard, the city likes quizzes. 2 nights later, a reel from the Lark slid onto my feed at 1:41 a.m. Hand saw light in the men's room, a laugh too bright, 2 figures blurred near the mirror. Someone had tagged Soren and someone had tagged Felix, and the comments did what comments do, parachute opinions into strangers' mouths. I did not comment. I turned the phone face down. I moved the chair. Soren came home and handed his phone over like a man who had decided to be honest on someone else's terms. Delete or archive, he said. I don't want new grammar. You don't need me to remove verbs, I said. He rested his forehead to mine like a paperweight on a better draft. The quiet of our kitchen felt like a promise we had to reaffirm with small ceremonies. Soren got the residency email 3 days later, 7 days in a house with windows that feel like perseverance. He forwarded me the PDF attachments because courage keeps receipts when it's practical. I want to go without disappearing, he wrote. I'll send pages, not alibis. When I get back, ask me what I wrote before what I did. I taped 2 lines under the magnet on the fridge. Addresses in the open. A good night voice note every day. He added a third in careful corrections. If an "I can't" is coming, the rule between us was that it would be where both of us could read it. Night 1 he sent wind and a sentence I decided to believe. Today the table forgave me. Night 3, silence. My thumb went feral on the map app as if tracking a line could turn into prayer. I moved the chair instead. At 8:12 he called with a voice that made the kettle think there might be a god. I almost kissed a window, he said. It didn't know your name. I closed the blinds. When he came back, his suitcase didn't slam. He held 2 pages bent at the corners like animals in need of a home. They're not good, he said. They're mine. We performed our small religion of paper, kettle, steady light. He slid his hands under my shirt from behind, slower than contrition, faster than nostalgia. Here, he breathed into the crook of my neck, and that single word settled into the place between his intention and my willingness. We tried to be boring. We failed with grace a few times and tried again. Felix, true to form, learned how to stand at the back of the house with his arms folded like a man paying the bill he owed himself. At preview night he clapped exactly once and didn't text afterward. It was enough to keep him human where he could be worse. But the city is thorough. It loves retests. The parking app stayed honest, small blue dots confessing late rides and polite turns. The real farms kept harvesting seconds of people who thought their hands were private. The patterns repeated, but something in our choreography improved. We learned to do the chair trick, to move the physical center when the emotional center was shaking. We learned to ask why first, because why is a question that buys us time to be decent. If another notification blooms on my lock screen with the kind of news I never asked for, another route that wasn't mine, another car that thinks a stranger's curb is a confession spot, I hope I remember the handful of humiliating, useful acts that got us through the last ones. Put water on. Move the chair. Ask why before who. Hold the breath before contact and let it finish being the scene. Wait for the small throat clearing of a lock like it's the first note in a song we can still tune to. We didn't get away with everything. We stayed. We are still staying. When Soren says here, my body has stopped auditioning for suspicion, the parking app can keep its timestamps. The city can keep its glass lobbies. We keep being an address. Or, on nights we can't, at least the map that admits its misprints and still shows the way back to a kitchen where a chair knows what it's for. A kettle keeps its 7:05 appointment, and two hands that have done worse learn how to touch without asking the night to edit.